Hi guys, we are on page 298. We're reading the chapter called A Simple Thing. So they're all at the auditorium at Beecher Prep for the 5th grade graduation ceremony. About an hour later, we were all seated in the giant auditorium waiting for Mr. Tushman to give his middle school address. The auditorium was even bigger than I imagined it would be, bigger even than the one at Via's school. I looked around and there must have been 1 million people in the audience. What kind of figurative language is that? There were 1 million people in the audience. Is he exaggerating? Okay, maybe not 1 million, but definitely a lot. Thank you, Headmaster Jansen, for those very kind words of introduction, said Mr. Tushman, standing behind the podium on the stage as he talked into the microphone. Welcome, my fellow teachers and members of the faculty. Welcome, parents and grandparents, friends and honored guests, and especially welcome my 5th and 6th grade students. Welcome to the Beecher Prep Middle School graduation ceremonies. Woo! Everyone applauded. Every year, continued Mr. Tushman, reading from his notes with his reading glasses way down on the tip of his nose, I am charged with writing 2 commencement addresses, one for the 5th and 6th grade graduation ceremony today, and one for the 7th and 8th grade graduation ceremony that will take place tomorrow. And every year I say to myself, let me cut down on my work and write just one address that I can use for both situations. Seems like it shouldn't be such a hard thing to do, right? And yet each year I still end up with 2 different speeches, no matter what my intentions are. And I finally figured out why this year. It's not as you might assume simply because tomorrow I'll be talking to an older crowd with middle school experience that is largely behind them, whereas your middle school experience is largely in front of you. No, I think it has to do more with this particular age that you are at right now, this particular moment in your lives that even after 20 years of being around students this age, it still moves me because you are at the cusp, kids. You are at the edge between childhood and everything that comes after that. You're in transition. So he's saying that 5th grade going into 6th grade is a cuspy age. You're kind of ending your childhood, going into everything that's after that. We are all gathered here together, Mr. Tushman continued, taking off his glasses and using them to point to all of us in the audience. All of your families, friends, and teachers to celebrate not only your achievements of this past year, Beecher Prep middle schoolers, but your endless possibilities. When you reflect on this past year, I want you to all look at where you are and where you've been. You've all gotten a little taller, a little stronger, and a little smarter, I hope. Same for you guys. I bet you're all a lot taller since the last time I saw you. Here some people in the audience chuckled, but the best way to measure how much you've grown isn't by inches or the number of laps you can now run around the track, or even in your grades, though those things are important. It's what you've done with your time, how you've chosen to spend your days, and whom you have touched this year. That, to me, is the greatest measure of success. There's a wonderful line in the book by J.M. Barrie, and no, it's not Peter Pan, and I'm not going to ask you to clap if you believe in fairies. Here, everyone laughed again. But in another book by J.M. Barrie called The Little White Bird, he writes, he started flapping through the small book on the podium until he found the page that he was looking for, and then he put on his reading glasses. Shall we make a new rule of life? Always to try to be a little kinder than is necessary. So what's happening here is Mr. Tushman's reading a quote from a book that he liked in his speech. And the quote was, just to be kinder than you think is needed. Always go above and beyond. Here, Mr. Tushman looked up at the audience. Kinder than is necessary, he repeated. What a marvelous line, isn't it? Kinder than is necessary. Because it is not enough to be kind. One should be kinder than needed. Why I love that line, that concept, is that it reminds me that we carry with us, as human beings, not just the capacity to be kind, but the very choice of kindness. And what does that mean? How is that measured? You can't use a yardstick. It's like I was saying before. It's not like measuring how much you've grown up in a year. It's not exactly quantifiable, is it? How do we know if we've been kind? What is being kind anyways? He put on his reading glasses again and started flipping through another small book. There's another passage in a different book that I'd like to share with you, he said. If you'll bear with me while I find it. Here we go. So then he goes into reading another quote. He cleared his throat and read from the book. It was at moments such as these that Joseph recognized the face of God in human form. It glimmered in their kindness to him. So again, this quote that he's reading is just about being kind. He closed the book, put it down, and leaned forward on the podium. Children, what I want to impart on you today is an understanding that the value of simple thing is called kindness. And that's all I want to leave you with today. I know I'm kind of infamous for my verbosity. So he's like, oh, I'm talking. But all I really want you to know is that you need to be kind. Here, everybody laughed again. I guess he knew he was known for his long speeches. Okay, so the rest is just more of his speech. So we're going to stop there and check Google Classroom for some questions. Bye, guys. Oh, don't forget to do an iReady lesson every day. 1 in reading, 1 in math. A lot of you aren't doing them, or if you are doing them, you're rushing. A lot of you aren't even spending 10 minutes on a lesson. Take your time. A lot of you have passed some, but a lot of you have failed like 4 or 5 in a row. Make sure you take your time, okay?